Alejandro Garnacho's future at Manchester United continues to hang in the balance after the winger was pictured training alone, while the rest of the squad reported for pre-season at Carrington. The 20-year-old Argentine remains on the periphery of first-team plans under manager Ruben Amorim, following a fallout that has diminished his standing at the club. Garnacho is one of 5 players, along with Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Antony and Tyrell Malacia, who have been told to remain separate from the main training group while negotiations surrounding their futures continue. He has shared an image on social media of himself training alone in a gym. The Argentine's days in Manchester are numbered, and Napoli might provide him with an escape route from Old Trafford. The tension between Garnacho and Amorim boiled over after the Europa League final in Bilbao, where Manchester United suffered a narrow 1-0 defeat to Tottenham Hotspur. Garnacho was left out of the starting 11 for that match, a decision that the young winger did not take lightly. Shortly after the game, Garnacho publicly questioned Amorim's tactical choices and hinted at a desire to seek a new challenge elsewhere in the next campaign. Napoli, who previously failed with a $60 million 81.53 meters bid in January, are back in the frame and confident they can land the winger for closer to 45 meters, 61 meters. Talks between the two clubs remain active, with United hoping to secure a deal that satisfies all parties before the Premier League campaign kicks off. As United gear up for the 2025-26 season, Amorim's approach signals a clear intent to start fresh after a dismal 15th-placed finish in the league last season. Players who no longer align with the manager's philosophy are being phased out, and Garnacho's situation underscores just how much change is underway at the club. Xabi Alonso's men were entirely outclassed by the Champions League winners to crash out of the Club World Cup tournament. Kylian Mbappe endured an ugly reunion with his former team as Real Madrid were torn apart by a rampant Paris Saint-Germain en route to a 4-0 loss in the semi-final of the Club World Cup. Los Blancos toiled throughout, a combination of defensive errors and inferior quality, leading to an embarrassment at the hands of Luis Enrique's side. Kylian Mbappe endured an ugly reunion with his former team as Real Madrid were torn apart by a rampant Paris Saint-Germain en route to a 4-0 loss in the semi-final of the Club World Cup. Los Blancos toiled throughout, a combination of defensive errors and inferior quality, leading to an embarrassment at the hands of Luis Enrique's side. It was an even game for about 5 minutes, and a couple of early Madrid attacks suggested that this might be a more competitive contest than most predicted. But Xabi Alonso's side then self-destructed in defense as Raúl Asensio's heavy touch was picked off by Ousmane Dembele before Fabian Ruiz finished into an open net. Antonio Rudiger went one better shortly after when he generously surrendered the ball to Dembele, who ran through on goal and finished. Ruiz got his second of the game before the half-hour mark, with 5 PSG touches needed to get the ball from their own 18-yard box to a comfortable finish for the Spain midfielder. It might have been worse by half-time too, but Kvaratskhelia fired wide after a clever shuffle through the Madrid defense. PSG rather took their foot off the gas in the second half, but Madrid didn't really take advantage as Jude Bellingham and Vinicius Jr. were replaced after an hour. Luka Modric and Lucas Vazquez came on for their swan songs in white before Goncalo Ramos made it 4 with 3 minutes left on the clock. Arsenal fans have reacted with frustration to the news that the Gunners are pursuing Chelsea's Noni Madueke rather than more highly rated wingers. Arsenal have made an opening bid of $50 million, 68 meters, for the 23-year-old, a fee which includes add-ons. But while Chelsea are open to negotiation, they believe the England international is worth more and are holding out for a higher fee. Meanwhile, some Gunners fans are baffled by the amount of money their club is willing to spend on a relatively unproven Premier League player, leading to the hashtag #NoToMadueke trending on social media. Arsenal's summer search for a left winger has been well documented, with other rumoured options including Real Madrid's Rodrigo, Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers, Newcastle's Anthony Gordon, and Athletic's Nico Williams. However, the North Londoners believe all these players would cost more than Madueke, who they are aiming to acquire for roughly 50 mitas. Arsenal sporting director Andrea Berta is determined not to overspend on transfer fees or wages despite pressure from fans, and he still firmly believes that there are good players available for around 65 millimeters, 88 Chelsea are reportedly using Newcastle's recent 55 millimeters, 75 millimeters signing of Anthony Elanga from Nottingham Forest as a benchmark. The winger has been a more impressive Premier League performer than Madueke in recent seasons, but either way, it appears as though the Chelsea forward's move to Arsenal hinges on whether the Gunners are willing to splash out a bit extra. Despite enduring an intense summer campaign in the United States for the expanded Club World Cup, Chelsea have not been granted any scheduling leniency by the Premier League. The Blues are set to kick off their 2025-26 league season at home against Crystal Palace on Sunday, August 17th, just over a month after completing their Club World Cup final in New Jersey. The Premier League has rejected any possibility of rescheduling the opening fixture, leaving Enzo Maresca with little time to prepare for the London derby against Palace. Though the Club World Cup has brought significant financial reward, nearly $80 million, 109 millimeters in revenue, the physical toll on the players has raised concerns within the club. Upon their return to the UK, Chelsea players are expected to be granted a minimum 3-week recovery period, as recommended for athletes following a hectic campaign. That would place their return to the Cobham training ground around Tuesday, August 5th, leaving the team with barely a dozen days to prepare for the Premier League curtain raiser. Maresca will have to rely on fringe players to plug gaps during that transition. Members of the so-called bomb squad, including Ben Chilwell and Joao Felix, could be called upon for the early friendlies and potentially the league opener if their transfer situations remain unresolved. This episode highlights the increasing strain placed on elite footballers by a calendar growing ever more crowded. With international tournaments, club competitions, and expanded FIFA events like the Club World Cup eating into off-seasons, recovery and preparation windows are shrinking. However, in the short term, Maresca has little time to think about the Palace fixture, as a cup final looms on the horizon, where they will face Paris Saint-Germain on July 13, 2025. Lionel Messi added another record to his list of career achievements as he scored a pair of goals to lead Inter Miami CF to a 2-1 win over the New England Revolution. The brace at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts on Wednesday night made Messi the first player in MLS history to score multiple goals in 4 straight league games, all of which were wins. The 38-year-old Argentine star capitalized on a mistake by the Revs' defense for his first goal of the night, then doubled Miami's lead before halftime with a brilliant finish from a perfectly placed Sergio Busquets through ball. Obviously, Leo is a special player. For me, is the best player that has played this sport in history, Miami coach Javier Mascherano said after the game. So it's unbelievable because how he continues doing things that maybe many years ago we thought that maybe we couldn't see at this stage, no? But in the end, he's a special player. We are lucky to have him. It was the second win in as many games for Messi and Miami since losing to Paris Saint-Germain in the round of 16 at the Club World Cup on June 29th. Messi scored twice in Saturday's 4-1 win over Montreal, and his 2 goals Wednesday helped Miami continue its climb back up the table in MLS's Eastern Conference. With the amount of games that Messi has played this season in MLS and for Argentina, there was talk ahead of the game against the Revs that Mascherano might not play his star Wednesday, or would take him off early. Miami is in 5th place, 7 points behind leaders FC Cincinnati, but also has 3 games in hand after missing out on league games while participating in the CONCACAF Champions Cup at the start of the season and the Club World Cup in June. It's not the first time Messi has gone on such a run. In 2012, he had multi-goal games in 6 straight matches while playing for Barcelona. The 2 goals tonight moved him up to 2nd place on the MLS scoring charts this season at 14, 2 behind Nashville's Sam Surridge. The World Cup winner also has 7 assists in the 15 MLS games he has played in this season. Messi has especially feasted against the Revs, scoring 7 times against them, the most goals he has versus any team, since moving to MLS in summer 2023. Javier Mascherano's side is back in action Saturday against Nashville SC at its Chase Stadium home in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Chelsea have brought in 3 new players so far this summer in the form of Liam Delap, João Pedro and Jamie Gittins. A few more fresh faces have arrived at Stamford Bridge as well, but those deals had been agreed beforehand. Now, over the past few days, most of the speculation has been about departures. Chelsea have a big squad, and there are a number of players who do not seem to be a part of Enzo Maresca's plans moving forward. So, it might be best to part ways, for all parties involved. Of course, we all know about the speculation surrounding big-name players like Christopher Nkunku, João Felix, Noni Madueke and more. But there are some youngsters who could be heading for the exit as well. One of them is Leslie Ugochukwu, and Fabrizio Romano has shed some light on Chelsea's plans for the midfielder this summer. Chelsea are not accepting loan proposals for Ugochukwu, as the priority is for a permanent transfer. Valencia and more clubs are interested, but the Blues don't want a temporary move. There are Premier League clubs that are also keen. Antonio Rudiger blew the chance of a Chelsea reunion as Real Madrid were steamrolled out of the Club World Cup. The former Blues defender's embarrassing howler let in PSG hitman Ousmane Dembele to rifle home a goal after 9 minutes. Next story, it was already 1-0 as Spanish giants where Ruiz had scored minutes earlier from another cock-up at the back, the reigning European champions for the jugular with an early onslaught that paid off. The Spanish midfielder made it 3-0 by half-time, with another clinical finish to fire PSG into Sunday's final against Chelsea. Rudiger, 32, was at Chelsea for 5 years and was part of their triumphant 2021 Champions League squad, but the German centre-half and his fellow defenders were humiliated in the first 45 minutes with a series of mistakes that cost them dearly. Defeat means Madrid end the season without a trophy of any kind. They were also humbled 3-0 by Arsenal in the Champions League last season. New boss and former Liverpool midfielder Xabi Alonso has much rebuilding work to do, even though he has just signed fullback Trent Alexander-Arnold to strengthen his squad. Former Liverpool star Alexander-Arnold was ruled out of this game with injury.